Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Martha Osiro. I am an EMS administrator here in Kampala, Uganda. And so our talk today will be about women in administration of EMS. And we'll hopefully gain some insights, mostly based from my own experiences as an administrator in EMS here in Uganda. I look forward to more discussions after the presentation. So let's get right into it. The first thing I wanted to ask is I want to start off by just quickly asking, do you think that administrators in EMS, is that a woman's role? Hopefully by the end of this discussion, we can delve deeper in thought and say, really, is there a place for women administrators in EMS? Is it an innate quality that women have to be able to manage EMS? Let's dive in deeper into the presentation and sort of think through as we're going through the presentation on what it means to be a woman administrator in EMS. So the first thing I want to talk about is to define maybe administration. What does this mean? What does EMS administration mean? And what are the qualities that are necessary for an EMS administrator? So I've decided to sort of define emergency medical services administration and what it takes. What do you need to be able to do to be an effective administrator? So one, you need to be able to manage teams. You need to be able to be an effective communicator. You need to be able to understand the business role of emergency medical services. Optimize operations. Now, when you understand the business side of emergency medical services, it's very easy to optimize your operations. You need to be an amazing, not even a good, I've just put it there because I don't want people to get all worked up, but you need to be an amazing problem solver. You need to always think of risk management. There's so many things that can go wrong. People's lives depend on having an effective EMS service that we're constantly thinking of risk. You also need to be able to facilitate communications in life and death situations. You need to be knowledgeable and a level-headed leader. You need to be able to understand the environment in which you work and think through all the different pieces all at once. The other thing that I believe is really important is to understand regulations and finance. Folks, it's just not about medical care. And a lot of times that's where I believe people just go wrong. They think administration is the medical care. That is just a component of the administration piece. You need to be the go-to person on rules and regulations. And also be responsible of knowing EMS policy and practice. What is the country doing? What is the direction that you're going in? It is not a copy and paste one size fits all for the world. Every country has its nuances. Every country has its different ways of doing things. And so understanding the direction that the country wants to go in terms of developing an EMS, emergency medical systems program is key to being successful. You have to be well versed with the strategic plan for EMS. Very often, people just decide they're going to do something without having a roadmap. I always equate it to maybe coming from Uganda going to Mombasa. And I'll say Mombasa because that's where we hoped we would have our AFM 2020 this year, but unfortunately because of COVID, we're stuck here in our homes. But all the same, we'll just imagine the beach and the beautifulness. So take a journey with me. So you have two teams. The first team has mapped out their plan, has had the car oil changed, has done the servicing on the car that they're going to drive, have gone to the bank, withdrawn the resources they need, and have a clear path with which they're going to take. They have mapped out their journey and they know we're going to stop in Nairobi maybe for 2 days, and then we move on to Mombasa. Team 2 just says, let's hop in the car and just go. I'm going to ask you a question. Which team do you think will get there in the least amount of time? I'm not saying that team 2 will never get there, but who would get there in the least amount of time and in the most organized way? So with that, we have to be well versed as administrators. You need to know that strategic plan, and you need to know where we're going with EMS. You also have to understand the organization's guidelines and you're less on the front lines and more in planning and in the management roles. You manage things from behind, and very often administrators are never recognized. But understanding that those on the front lines will be seen and then by default get all the credit is human nature. So what are we saying? You also need to be a diplomat and a negotiator, a translator, who is able to bring together EMS stakeholders. What does this mean? A negotiator as an EMS, a diplomat? Yes, let me give you an example. When development partners come to a country, they have a certain idea in mind. They also have from their countries little checkboxes that they need to fill that they have checked and ticked. Whereas a country that's receiving the aid has clear plans. They need to know. They know what they want, and they know what they want to come out of this whole donation. Now, very often that gets lost in the translation of what a country wants and the goals of that development partner. As an administrator of EMS, I've found myself on multiple occasions needing to translate our strategy for the country and our wants and desires to fit into the box of what will work for the development partner. And I can't always be rude about it. I have to be cognizant of how that development partner feels and be able to negotiate a win-win situation for both of us. So yes, an administrator has to have a level of diplomacy, has to have good negotiating skills, and also be a translator of vision. The other thing you need to do is to enjoy reading and implementation. Over time, I used to hate reading. I'll be honest with you. I would only read what I need to read in order to just pass school or whatever it is. But in my role as an administrator for EMS, I've had to learn how to read. I've had to enjoy reading. And I enjoy it now. I enjoy reading things to do with EMS. I learn a lot. And also, I think I have an innate gift just to implement. Very often in Uganda, I'll talk about Uganda more because this is where I live and work. We write great policies and we have great ideas, but we lose it in implementation. A lot of these policies and ideas and strategic plans just collect dust on the shelves of government offices. But what I'm able to do, I think it's just a gift that I have. I love implementation. And so I'm able to take that idea that is on paper and make it into a reality. I'll say all this because your team depends on you being up to date to lead them in the right direction. So as an administrator, you're responsible of leading the team. Now I want you to take a look at this picture. Take a look at this slide. What do you see? In each of these, I'll tell you what I see. I see capable leaders at the helm and definitely a description of my life story. The only difference is that it looks like all these pictures depict men. I don't see any ladies in this picture. So what does it say? Does it say that women don't make good administrators? Women can't juggle 10,000 things in the air? Women can't lead teams and groups? If we think in our traditional roles, many of these men go to school, they go to college, they learn how to do these things in theory. But women in practice, we've had to learn how to do these things. Those of us who are mothers and wives and women, we've had to learn how to do these things by default. Running a household and dealing with children, you are at the head. You decide what happens in that home. When hubby's at work or dad's at work, you're the leader at home. You manage and you teach your children. Even so, you counsel your husband. You juggle 10,000 things in there. You juggle the dogs, the homework, the school, the cooking, the groceries. So many things in the air you juggle. I believe that these are innate qualities we're just born with. I can't, I think back at my journey, and I'd say that I'm really a good multitasker. I just can do 10,000 things at once. My brain doesn't work in a linear method. I have it's almost like I connect the dots. I need to do this before I do this for the system to work. And then I think of the full system. I rarely think of tasks. I need to know the end and work backwards. That's how my brain works. So what do I call administration? I call it organized chaos. Total chaos. If you can see these pictures, it really shows how many things are for administration. It is just organized chaos. So many things happening at once, juggling 10,000 things at once. So many, my to-do lists go from here. I even stopped writing them, and now I just think through my day before I lay down and sleep. And then in the morning, it's sort of automatic how I'll know what I'll do first and finish to the end. Again, what's the other thing that we have? For women, whenever we have a problem, it's a problem. We call it a problem straight up. We try to figure it out. We try to untangle the mess. Men, and I'm not saying all men, I don't want to be sexist or to judge, but I think men, when it just looks too big, they just sweep it under the rug and say, okay, I think it'll just go away. Let's just calm down. It won't blow up. We'll figure it out later. Or they're just in denial of the whole chaos. So again, this is an administrator's life. I call it organized chaos. It really is. And being able to juggle and fix things and put out fires all at once. So can I talk a little bit about, is there a training mechanism by which to do this? Is there training? I'll walk you through my training path. And it's almost like at every stage of my formal and informal training, I have learned key things that helped me to get to where I am today. There's not one training course that helped me, even in the administration courses. For EMS, I've had to just get everything from every area, from my work at home as a mother and a wife, and even as a daughter, as maybe a coach, as a leader, and put all those together to use those skills that I've gained over time to become that effective leader. So my formal training, I did a bachelor's in biology. I did a diploma in medical and lab. I had a master's in business administration and healthcare management. I did a postgraduate certificate in nonprofit management. I did a fellowship in leadership and a PhD currently doing in emergency medicine administration. I'm hoping this last piece, the PhD that I'm currently working on, will help me understand administration on a different level, but who knows? May or may not. But what I've found is that this formalized training has been sort of like a foundation and has given me skills, but it's my informal training and my life skills that have helped build the person that I am today. I want us to think back and to think through what I've talked about today. To think about what is the role of an administrator. To think about you as women. Do you have those skills to juggle all that at once? I honestly believe it is an innate gift. It is not something learned, it is something we are born with. The ability to juggle, the ability to look at 10,000 things at once, the ability to understand and to reason, to negotiate. These are key. Even without formal training, I really believe women are extremely good administrators. And I believe that even in EMS, as we talk about EMS and as we're here for this conference, that the importance of having strong administrators need to come out clearly. I think very often they're ignored and they're not brought to the forefront because, again, like I mentioned in a slide, in one of the prior slides, it is important to understand the ability of women to work in administration and those innate qualities that we have that are almost that you can't get from a formal training that make us some of the most effective administrators in the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just get you to think about what roles in your walks of life, what roles administrators play, and women administrators in particular. How many can you think of? And is it necessary even to include women, more women in this field? Do you recognize the administrators that work with you on a daily basis to make things run smoothly? Is it a job you feel that is for men? Can women do a great job at it? Let's think through some of these and have more discussions as to whether or not administration is important and whether or not it even needs to be formalized almost. Have a formalized training for just EMS administration because people's lives depend on us doing the right thing, providing the right timely interventions that can save life. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and look forward to our continuous discussions. Thank you.